If you are a real estate bear expecting home prices in Canada to plummet, well, I don't think you're gonna like what I have to say in this month's update. Hey there, welcome back to another monthly Canadian real estate market update here on Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeifer, real estate agent in Regina. That's my trusted assistant, 𝗤𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗲. Last month, I talked about home prices in Halifax dropped 10% in just one single month. Well, this month, 4 of the 11 cities I cover here saw home prices increase month over month. One of them even saw home prices increase $60,000. But of course, I know most of you guys come here for my truly terrible bad dad jokes, and this one might be the worst one I've had yet. When I get to work in the morning, I immediately hide because they tell me that good employees are hard to find. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode, please put it in the comments below. Let's get into the update. Last month, Victoria saw 278 homes sold a month. That is down 27% from their 5-year average of about 382 homes that would sell typically in the month. There were also 825 homes that were newly listed for sale, and that is down 2% from their average of 840 in a month. So that leaves active listings at about 1,700, up 9% from their 5-year average of around 1,500, leaving months of inventory at 6.3. That means Victoria is a buyer's market by the numbers. The composite benchmark price in Victoria not only continues to decline month over month, but now for the first time, they've got a year-over-year decline of 1%. That benchmark price, $870,000. It is also down about 13% from the peaks that they saw in June of 2022. Now, this is something you're going to hear an awful lot in this month's update, and that there was a very slow start to the market in Victoria. First couple of weeks, it was basically dead. And the last couple of weeks of January, now into the first little bit of February, there's been a very significant uptick in activity. Now, we're not talking red hot market like last year, but a noticeable uptick in the activity. Another thing I noticed when I was digging through the data is that month over month, condos actually saw a price increase in Victoria. Only 1%, and yes, 1 month doesn't make a trend, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it to see if this continues. It should come to no shock at all that the market pace in Victoria is slower than normal. Vancouver saw barely over 1,000 homes sold in a month. That is down 43% from the 5-year average. Typically closer to 1,800 houses would sell in the month. There was also about 3,300 homes that were put up for sale in the month, but that is down 13% from the 5-year average. Typically closer to 4,300 new listings would come on the market for sale. And there are approximately 7,500 homes for sale right now in Vancouver. That is down 12% from the 5-year average. Typically about 8,500 homes would be for sale this time of year. And that leaves the months of inventory at 7.3. So numerically well into a buyer's market in Vancouver right now. The benchmark price is now $1.1 million. That is down 7% from last year and down 13% from what we saw in the peaks of April last year, but this was the smallest month over month decline at 0.2%. Okay, so I'm gonna have to clean up this language a little bit so it's YouTube appropriate, but this is what one agent told me when talking about the Vancouver real estate market. What a crappy month. This was one of the worst months for sales since 2005. Not just worst Januaries, but one of the worst months for sales. In fact, only January of 2009 and December of 2018 saw fewer homes sold in a single month. But in the very same breath, that agent told me how in the last couple of weeks, they've seen a significant uptick in activity. So more showings, more phone calls, more people attending open houses. They're seeing multiple offers. Now, we're not talking the craziness that we saw the last couple of years, but a noticeable uptick in activities. We're saying how it feels like buyers have just kind of realized this is the market we're in. The world hasn't ended, and those buyers that need to buy a house or want to buy a house are coming back to the market. Another month, and we see home sales in Calgary crushing Vancouver. Nearly 1,200 homes sold in a month. That's up 3% from the 5-year average. Typically, about 1,160 homes would sell in the month. The 1,800 homes that were newly listed for sale, well, that is down 26% from the 5-year average. Typically about 2,400 homes we put up for sale in a month. And there's about 2,400 homes currently for sale in Calgary. That is down a staggering 47% from the 5-year average. Typically about 4,600 homes would be for sale this time of year in Calgary. And that leaves months of inventory at 2 in Calgary. So still numbers wise, a seller's market in Calgary. The composite benchmark price in Calgary is $520,000. That's up 10% from last year. It is down about 5% from the peak we saw in May of 2022. But we also saw a month over month increase in prices for the first time in about 4 months in Calgary. We'll have to wait and see if this continues. Now, you guys have heard me say this many times before. 1 month doesn't make a trend. This is typically the time of year that home prices in Calgary start increasing. Usually January, February is that first month we see home prices increase, and that continues on through the entire spring market. When I'm talking with agents in Calgary, they're saying it's been significantly busier the last couple of weeks, and they're expecting this month's sales to be fairly strong. Probably going to be a busy month that we'll see reflected in next month's sales. So market pace in Calgary is busier than normal. Edmonton saw just under 1,000 homes sold in a month. That's down 2% from the 5 average, where typically just over 1,000 homes will sell in a month. The 2,300 homes that were put up for sale, that is down 2% as well versus the 5 average. Usually about 2,300 to 2,400 homes will be put up for sale in the month. An active inventory is about 5,200. That is down 17% from the 5 average. Typically about 6,300 homes would be for sale this time of year at Edmonton. Months of inventory though is at 5.3, basically smack in the middle of a balanced market. The composite benchmark price in Edmonton, $365,000. Down 3% year over year, down about 12% from the peak we saw in June of 2022, but it's unchanged from the previous month. When I'm talking with agents from Edmonton, it's actually a rather boring conversation. Not because people from Edmonton are boring, they're great people, but just the fact that, and you see it in the numbers, the market is really normal for this time of year. This is the type of sales that you'd expect to see. Inventory levels though are lower than what you would expect. So that's the one abnormality, but basically, this is what the Edmonton market looks like this time of year. So, unsurprisingly, market pace in Edmonton is about normal. The 134 homes that sold in Regina last month, that is down about 12% from what we typically see. About 150 homes usually sell in the month. There are just under 290 homes put up for sale in the month though. That is down 23% from the 5 average. Typically, about 375 homes that we put up for sale in the month. And right now, there's only 745 homes for sale in Regina. That is down 27% from the 5-year average. Usually about 1,000 homes are up for sale this time of year. And actually, inventory dropped from January to February. That's not what we usually see. So months of inventory is 5.6, which says that the Regina market is balanced, but that's a citywide average. There's definitely pockets that are much harder. I'll be talking about that in a second. The composite benchmark price, $312,000, down 1% year over year, down about 5% from the peak we saw in June of 2022, but it is a small, it's only $1,000 increase from December. Now, typically January-ish or February is when you see prices in Regina start increasing. Last month started off rather slow in Regina, but then saw a significant uptick in activity that last week of January and then early into February. In fact, those 2 weeks alone account for almost 60% of all the homes sold in Regina year to date. And if you're in that $400,000 price range, it's really competitive right now. There's not all that inventory. I lost on 4 multiple offers in just the month of January alone. So if you have a house around $400,000, preferably east side of Regina, give me a call. I got a lot of buyers looking for them right now. If you are a seller, get your house on the market right now because there's not a lot of competition and a lot of buyers out looking right now. So market pace is a little bit slower than normal, but that's mainly due to that very sluggish start. I expect next month it's going to be busier. In Saskatoon, 200 homes were sold in the month. That is down 9% versus the 5-year average. Typically about 220 homes would sell in the month, but there were only 260 homes put up for sale in the month. That is down 26% from the 5-year average, where typically about 320 homes would be put up for sale in the month. An active inventory in Saskatoon, 830 homes for sale. That's down 42% from the 5-year average. Normally it's about 1,230 homes will be up for sale this time of year, so significantly down, and it is lower than the number of homes that were for sale the month before, which is not normal. That leaves months of inventory in Saskatoon at 3.6, meaning basically right on the edge between a balanced and a seller's market. The composite benchmark price is up about 3% year over year at $366,000. It is down about 6% from the peaks we saw in August of 2022. It is also up from the previous month. The local agent insight for Saskatoon is really similar to what we have in Regina. Slow start to January and then a very significant uptick in the last couple of weeks of the month. If you are a seller and you're thinking of waiting for the spring market to put your house in the market, I'd get it up a lot sooner than that because there are a lot of buyers that are struggling right now to find what they're looking for. And that is why we're seeing some of the multiple offers that we're seeing in Saskatoon right now, especially in that like $300,000 to $500,000 price point. That's very competitive right now. Winnipeg saw 580 homes sold in a month. That is down 16% from last year. They also had 1,400 homes that were put up for sale in the month. That is up 29% from last year. and 2,800 homes were, and there are about 2,800 homes currently for sale right now in Winnipeg. That is up about 69% from last year. So months of inventory, 4.9 means Winnipeg, numbers-wise, is kind of right in the middle of a balanced market. The composite benchmark price in Winnipeg is about $320,000 right now. That is down 10% from last year. It's also down about 14% from the peak we saw in May of 2022. If you want the secret to the Winnipeg real estate market right now, it's that houses that are priced well are selling well, and often at times seeing multiple offers. But those that are expecting prices from a year ago, well, the houses are sitting on the market, they're having to reduce multiple times and selling for less than they probably would have if they priced right to begin with. Now, I know versus last year, it seems like the Winnipeg real estate market's really cold, but really, this is about normal for this time of year. It just looks bad in comparison to last year's crazy busy years. Toronto saw 3,100 homes sold last month. That is down 38% from the 5-year average. Typically about 5,000 homes sell in the month. There were also 7,600 homes that were listed for sale. That is down 11% from the 5-year average. Typically about 8,600 homes would be put up for sale in the month. But there are about 9,300 homes for sale right now in Toronto. That is up 6% from the 5-year average. Typically about 8,700 homes would be for sale right now. And that leaves months of inventory at 3.0. So right on the edge between a seller's and a balanced market by the numbers in Toronto right now. The composite benchmark price is a little under $1.1 million, down 14% year over year and down about 21% from the peaks we saw in March of 2022. Now, the headlines are telling you how much sales have declined since last year. Of course they're down. That was a record year. When you look at it versus my 5-year numbers, we're down about 40%. But let's back up a few months here. In October versus the 5-year average, home sales were down 50%. Then in November, down 49%. Then in December, down 45%. Now we're down 38%. So the gap between the 5-year average and the month sales is shrinking. And we did see once again, month to month, home prices in Toronto decline. So sorry if you answered my poll that home prices in Toronto were increasing, you got that one wrong, but you weren't actually that far out. This was the smallest month over month decline at 0.7%. Now let's put that 21% price decline into some context. We have seen it peak to trough so far. But since the summer, late summer, we've only seen a 5% decline in home prices. So we saw the biggest price declines early on, and it's been a slow decline since then. Now, I know when you compare year over year, it looks like things are getting worse because you're seeing a larger year over year decline, but that is because prices were increasing this time of year. If you don't change the prices month over month from this month to next month, the price decline year over year will be bigger. But of course, prices didn't get worse, just the gap versus last year's price increases got worse. Don't mistake those two. A lot of people are trying to pretend like the Toronto market is getting worse, but it's not. But of course, when you look at the market pace, it is still much slower than normal. We're just seeing that gap start to shrink. The 600 homes sold in Ottawa last month is down 31% from the 5-year average. Typically about 875 homes would sell in the month. There were 1,300 homes put up for sale in the month, and that is up about 11% from the 1,100 homes that are typically put up for sale this time of year. And there are 2,300 homes for sale right now in Ottawa. That is up 15% from the 5-year average of about 2,000. But months of inventory is 3.8. So again, by the numbers, Ottawa is just barely into a balanced market. The composite benchmark price, a little over $600,000. That is down 4% year over year, down 18% from the peak we saw in March of 2022. Much like across the rest of Canada, the Ottawa real estate market is starting to wake up a little bit. There was a really slow start, but now the last couple of weeks, we're starting to see more activity. Homes that are priced well and show well are selling well. There is some multiple offers going on, but if they're overpricing their home and expecting last year's prices, they're sitting, not doing anything at all. Condos, that appears to be where there's a little bit of life in the Ottawa real estate market, and even some price competitiveness, a little bit of price increases going on there right now. But until we see sales pick up, the Ottawa real estate market is slower than normal. There was a little under 1,800 homes sold last month in Montreal. That is down 41% from the 5-year average of 3,000. There are also 4,600 homes put up for sale in the month. That is down 18% from that 5-year average of about 5,600 homes. And there's just over 15,000 homes for sale right now in Montreal. That is down 7% from the 5-year average. Typically, there's about 16,200 homes that would be for sale this time of year. But months of inventory, this is the highest in Canada at 8.4. The benchmark price in Montreal is about $500,000, down 6% from last year and down 11% from the peak we saw in May of 2022. Last month, I talked about agents were saying, hey, the phone's starting to ring a little more, we're getting more showings. Now, we're not seeing sales activity reflected yet in the numbers, But if you look at the last week of January and the first week of February, there's a significant increase. In fact, over 65% of the homes that sold year to date so far in Montreal sold in just those 2 weeks. So definitely a noticeable uptick there. And when I'm talking with agents, one of them was even saying how there's a lot more multiple offers happening right now than they were expecting with how things are going in the market right now. So what does that mean for you that is buying in Montreal? Well, if it's a good house and it's priced well, it's probably going to sell well and might have multiple offers. If you are a seller, don't expect last year's prices. You're not going to get it. If you price your house accordingly for this market, you're going to get a lot of interest. So market pace, slower than normal, might start to see it pick up a little bit here in next month's update. In Halifax, they had 182 homes sold in the month. That is down 22% from last year. They also had 300 homes newly listed for sale. That is up 39% from last year. And there's 540 homes for sale right now in Halifax. That is up 199%. It's actually worse though than the last couple of months where it's been 200 and 300% up. Months of inventory is 2.9 in Halifax right now. Their average price is $547,000. That's a $60,000 jump from last month. It's up 16% year over year as well, down about 5% from May of 2022. Now we had to talk about how home prices in Halifax increased $60,000 in one single month. Well, when I mentioned home prices last month, I talked about how there was this weird composition of sales, mainly lower priced homes that sold in 1 month in Halifax. That dragged down that average price about 10% or about $60,000 that month. That's why I don't like to use average price. It can be easily manipulated by the composition of sales. So this month we had a more normal composition of sales in Halifax. That's why the average price came back up to basically where it should have been last month. If you take out the previous month, compare the other 2 months, it's about a $3,000 price increase this past month. The other thing I've been seeing when I'm talking with agents there is that they're still seeing a fairly active and busy market. In fact, about 30% of homes that sold last month sold at asking price or above asking. So this is not a cold market in Halifax. It's still a very active and busy market. And they're saying that it is getting busier right now. Now the market pace versus last year's crazy year says it's slow, but in fact versus historical norms, this is still a pretty normal to busy market in Halifax. Since you clearly love learning about real estate, well then why don't you check out my weekly news recap where I have the most interesting news articles that I found that week and break them down for you. Then give this video a like, that would be much appreciated. Even more so, hit the subscribe button for me and help me grow this channel out. Leave comments below so we can chat in the comment section. And as always, thanks very much for watching.